Today we're going to take a look at a quite interesting case from DeepCool. We have here the MATREXX 43FS, which stands for 3 fans. We have 2 on front, 120mm and one at the back. So this is really cool when we have cases that already have pre-installed fans. Now, this case particularly looks quite nice just because of the front panel, which is really attractive, and I do have to admit that. Now we have about 3mm thick tempered glass with 2 thumb screws that you just simply untie and pull the side panel quite easily. No problems, just easy removing. Apart from the past case that we did, we don't have an opening here for your power supply, and for some of you it's cool because you don't like the opening, some of you will miss it. It's all up to personal preferences, of course. Now the top part of the power supply shroud looks pretty plain. There's no additional holes for your fans to have an extra intake, but after all we are talking about micro ATX case which supports also mini ITX motherboards. So taking that into consideration, there's basically no space to place 2 additional fans. If you place, I don't know, three expansion slot graphic card, it would actually take out all the space for your fans. You have 2 additional holes here at the bottom to connect the HD audio, to connect your front panels for USB 2.0 and the power on button, of course. Then we have 2 side holes for your 24-pin SATA, and at the top you have for addressable RGB if your motherboard has it on top, or RGB headers, and right here for your EPS for your power supply for the CPU. All in all, it looks from this side quite cool. I would only use the front fans a bit more closer together, and I'm not quite sure if we could squeeze a 3rd fan on front. This is quite interesting because you have space here at the bottom, you have space between the fans, and you have a bit of space at the top, even though the cables from the I/O port do come a bit closer to the fan. So I'm going to, of course, untie the at least 1 fan and check out if we could squeeze another fan inside. On top we have the LED indication light, we have the power switch, we have the USB 2.0, you have one 3.5mm jack. This is actually a 4-pin for your microphone and for your headset, and you have USB 3.0 and a reset button. So you have everything there at the top. I would only prefer if the USB 2.0 was replaced with 3.0. It would be much nicer and really cool. Now the clearance for your CPU tower cooler is 165. The length of the GPU is 320mm, but I think it goes for 2.5 centimeters less when you place a radiator on front if you decide to go with an AIO, so this comes down to 295. When we're talking about the top, you have a possibility to place 2 120 or 2 140mm fans, and I think we could squeeze, yeah, we could definitely squeeze a 280 or 240 radiator AIO on top without any single issues, because as I can see here, the holes for the stand-ups for your motherboard have a, I would say, a 5 even more centimeter distance. Just my advice, connect the cables on the motherboard at the top before placing the radiator and the fans, because you'll have a bit of an issue connecting everything and the clearance and everything else. Now the back side has also 2 thumb screws and standard steel panel, which is nothing extra to say, but checking out the back side, you basically have, you can place here a 2.5-inch SSD, and you can place here 2.5-inch SSD. We have some sort of holes, standoffs here that you could reroute 24-pin, 8-pin, and use a zip tie and tie the cables together, which is really nice because you have 2 centimeters of clearance for your cables, more than enough to reroute everything, hide everything, and do a perfect cable management. Now at the bottom we have the HDD bracket, so you can place 2 of those, one inside the bracket and one on the top, or you can place one 2.5-inch SSD on top. As I can see, that hard drive cage is removable. You can remove it completely. You can push it further here to get more clearance for your power supply. And here we go with additional parts as well. They are connected to the cable. Now, since we have 3 fans, they're all connected to mATX connector. So basically, let's check it out. No, that's it. They're all connected like that. We have, this is USB 2.0, HD audio, USB 3.0, HDD LED power switch, and reset switch. In the accessory box, we have screws, and you have the zip ties, loads of them to rearrange the cables. So now you basically know everything that is when it comes to standard specifications. Let's check out the benchmarks to see the temperatures inside the case. Since I don't have a micro ATX motherboard with me, I decided to go with mini ATX logical because the ATX board doesn't fit, but as you can see, quite large graphic card can fit. Now, as I stated at the first part of the video, 3 120mm fans can fit without any problems. You just have to work the top USB 3.0 cable that goes from the top I/O panel back and where you connect it to your motherboard. Now, the one thing, the 3 fans, the one at the rear and 2 at the front, have a static color. So light blue, purple, and some sort of a yellowish orange, as you can see on top and on the bottom and here at the back. So because they're connected with mATX, all 3, that's the only thing that you could do. There's no possibility to change the lights in any sort of way. The difference between the middle fan and the top one and the bottom one is the top one is RF 120fs, and the one that I used additionally here in the middle is the CF 120, which has the ability for addressable RGB and changing colors and everything. So that's quite cool. Now, when you place the ITX board, you have loads of space right here, and it's quite an empty space, honestly. So I would suggest, either if you feel the need to cover it up or do anything here, it's a possibility. You could do some plexiglass or anything that you decide with modding or similar stuff. But all in all, the case is really cool, and at the top you do have loads of space to place 280 or 240 AIO, nicely reroute the cables from the front to the CPU, and that's it. As you can see right here, we have the AS500 Plus CPU tower cooler, which fits quite nicely, and it even leaves 5mm of distance towards the tempered glass, so there's no issue with the height. GPU length, as you can see, it fits the RTX 3070 SUPRIM X from MSI, but if you place this card, there's no possibility for the front radiator. For the front, I wouldn't suggest going 360 because it won't fit. You'll have most likely, well, definitely, issues with the top I/O cables, and at the bottom, that's basically it. So 240, 280 on front, 240, 280 on top, and eventually 120 at the back if you really want to place it, but there's loads of possibilities to do that. Now, when it comes to temperatures, the CPU width inside this case with the AS500 Plus, I use the AMD Ryzen 5 5600X, so the temperature went up to 64 Celsius degrees, and this was tested in AIDA 64 Extreme Edition just with the CPU going on the full load. If you include the CPU and the GPU under full load, the CPU goes up to 70 Celsius degrees and the GPU goes up to 68 Celsius degrees. So I'm really satisfied with the case. It really does look cool. In the photos, I thought this was a bit more, I would say, not premium, but more like a steel or something, but this front panel is complete plastic, but really love the design. I mean, it really does look clean, and especially with all the lines going differently, you have the RGB lights shining through, and that's it. You have a front dust filter, you have a top magnetic one, and here at the bottom you have a small one that you need to push in with all the hinges holding it. I used the Seasonic Prime Snow Silent, and I'm saying this because with the hard drive cage in the original position that case comes with, you can place the power supply. But you can always remove two screws, attach the hard drive cage, place it near the fans here, and then put the screws back in, and everything fits perfectly fine. So guys, if you're into smaller compact builds that can hold up two AIOs, if you decide to go with an AIO on the graphic card, or if you want to place it on top, on front, multiple possibilities, quite nice temperatures, really nice airflow without a doubt. Additional fan, you can place it or just switch all the fans, but the cool thing about these fans, they shine really nice. So if I was to go on a budget case which has 3 fans that shine up in any color, these colors would be quite nice, and it really does fit. Looks quite alright, right? So for the MATREXX 43 FS, I'll place the links below in the description so you can check out the price. You already know all the specifications, details, and possibilities inside this case. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you liked it, the case, my video. Click the thumbs up button, push the notification bell as well for future content, and hopefully I will see you in another one. Bye bye.